Good morning, Bitcoiners. It's been a crazy week in the markets and in general. NASDAQ and S&P 500 indexes are down. The stock market is taking a bit of a dip right now, while Bitcoin and Bitcoin related equities have remained steady. This is a great sign as Bitcoin is beginning to decouple from the stock markets and people are beginning to see it as what it is, which is a risk off savings vehicle rather than a speculative risk on asset, which has been the view of Bitcoin for a while. It's a great time. It's a great sign to see Bitcoin trade differently than the stock market, as it is completely different, right? I think for a while people just saw Bitcoin as a glorified stock. It's just this thing out in the ether that trades for a certain dollar value, and by buying it, you're speculating that its value will go up. But people are beginning to realize that Bitcoin is freedom technology, and the price is Bitcoin's least interesting attribute. I wanted to highlight this post I saw in reaction to Trump's tariffs. Again, this isn't, a crazy source. It was just a post on a forum somewhere, but I thought the analysis seemed interesting and seemed like it could be indicative of what Trump's plan is with these tariffs, which have caused temporary uncertainty in the market. So the poster said Trump is trying to crash the stock market at least 20%, causing a flight into treasuries. This will cause the Fed to slash interest rates so he can refinance the national debt at or near 0% and cause a deflationary spiral, which will lower the cost of everything. He also intends to use tariffs as an incentive for companies to build in the U.S. to avoid having to pay them. The tariffs and the resulting global trade war will also force American farmers to sell more of their goods in the U.S. due to retaliationary trade measures by other countries, which will directly lower the price of groceries in the U.S. More than 94% of all stock is just owned by 8% of the US population. Trump is literally taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. This is why Trump is playing a game of hokey pokey on tariffs. One day he has 25% tariffs, next he doesn't. This is to cause extreme volatility in the markets and a desperate need to demand to flee towards treasury bonds, which are much more stable but offer a lower potential return, blah, 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 etc., etc. So, again, whether or not your opinion on tariffs, this could be a possible explanation of the plan. But regardless of the impact of tariffs, I think regardless of which side of the issue you're on, we can agree that the effect of tariffs is yet to be seen. Proponents of tariffs and in general, the thesis of them is that it's a short-term pain for a long-term solution. Whether or not you agree with that, we can agree that Bitcoin is a hedge against global uncertainty and uncertainty in the markets. And regardless of whether tariffs work or not, Bitcoin will win either way. All right, like if this causes an economic boom in the United States and dollar dominance, it means citizens will have more, income, more ability to invest into wealth producing assets like Bitcoin. And if tariffs don't work and just cause global chaos in the markets, then people will flee to Bitcoin as a risk off asset to hedge different things and to hedge the potential collapse of the US dollar. Bitcoin is a global decentralized monetary network that doesn't rely on one country's government to keep it running. It's constantly running and constantly available for anyone who wants to participate in it, and it is a hedge to the debasement of fiat currencies. And again, to reiterate this plan, I'm on the side that I'm waiting to see what the long-term effects on these will be, but I think a correction in the stock market is healthy. I don't think it is sustainable for these companies to keep trading at such a premium over their net asset values, and I think a correction is much needed, and I think people will flee to Bitcoin. So the top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities, and the next 40% owns the next 12%. So Again, the top half of Americans own the stock market while the bottom 50 has debt. And right now, interest rates are really high. So I think the thesis with these tariffs is to allow people, like we said, to flee to treasuries and as a result get lower interest rates. So we're on mempool.space right now, just visualizing the Bitcoin blockchain and how it doesn't need anyone to sustain itself. It is constantly running. It is a global monetary network that people are starting to see more and more. That is a hedge and that is a great store of value. Bitcoin should be seen as the world's safest, the world's most robust savings account. There's still only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. There's still going to be a new block created every 9 minutes, and miners will continue to add security to the Bitcoin network. Every block that gets mined is just another tiny layer of security being added to the network. Every time a new block is created, the blockchain becomes more secure, more robust, and safer. So again, I think we can all agree that it is yet to be seen what the impact of tariffs and Trump's economic plan will be, but we can say for certain that Bitcoin will win regardless. Bitcoin is the superior monetary asset, and I think as we start to move out of a fiat system and a fiat debt society where our money is constantly losing its value. And that is why we see stock prices so inflated. These Mag 7 companies, all these big companies are trading at such a premium to what their actual assets and income should be worth. We are forced to park our wealth in assets like stocks and real estate to preserve our purchasing power in a fiat money system. But in a Bitcoin system, the money becomes the store of value. We no longer need these types of secondary assets to maintain our purchasing power in an inflationary world. That's why Bitcoin is so powerful, and that's why I think it is a good thing that there is a correction in the stock market and people are fleeing to Bitcoin, and it's decoupling itself from the movements of traditional markets. So let me know what your take is down below. How do you think tariffs will impact the economy? I'd love to have a discussion about it. And yeah, if you enjoyed this type of content, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you'd like to get some Bitcoin for yourself, my personal recommendation is River. They're a Bitcoin only exchange. They don't deal with shitcoins, and they have full proof of reserves to prove that they own all the Bitcoin that they say they do for all their clients. And as always, together, let's work, save, and build a brighter future with Bitcoin. I'll see you in the next video.